Hello, good evening and welcome to News 360 live from our studio here at Adesawe Kanda in Accra. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey.
And I am Ayisha Yakubu. Coming up, the headlines.
60 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
Minority Caucus walks out of Parliament over disagreement in the communication of the demise of the late Akwitia MP Ernest Yakubu.
Minister for Education Haruna Idrisu set to hold a consultative meeting with civil society organizations who are demanding broader consultation before passage of Scholarship Authority Bill.
Also coming up, hope fades for trapped miners as their Chimwenchi mining sites as misunderstanding and logistical constraints affects day 2 of rescue efforts.
And later in business, pressure mounts on the Bank of Ghana to slash lending rate by 200 to 300 basis points to realign monetary and fiscal policies.
And in news from elsewhere, Burkina Faso's military rulers have disbanded the country's electoral commission, calling it a waste of money.
Let's hear from you on the many stories we have for you tonight, because we are streaming also on Facebook and on our website 3news.com.
We're starting off with education, as the Ghana Education Service has instructed parent-teacher associations not to collect any dues or levies from parents following the reintroduction of PTAs in pre-tertiary institutions. According to the service, it is currently working on clear modalities to ensure the PTA operations remain in line with national rules and regulations.
The decision by the Ghana Education Service to reinstate parent-teacher associations in all pre-tertiary schools nationwide follows widespread complaints that some PTAs had been charging exorbitant levies and dues. They were also accused of clashing with school management teams, leading to tensions the government deemed counterproductive to the learning environment. As a result, their operations were suspended nationwide. The Ghana Education Service says the move to reinstate the PTAs is aimed at improving collaboration between parents and teachers, ultimately enhancing learning outcomes. Daniel Fenyi is a public relations officer of the Ghana Education Service.
For now, they cannot discuss issues about money because we are bringing out the guidance. However, talking of attendance of students, class participation of the learners, parents requesting for the performance of their learners in class and out of class, they should be able to go ahead and do that. They should be able to go ahead and have all those conversations. The school leaders, the teachers should be able to tell the parents their observations about their children, their observations about their learning progress, their challenges, what they believe the parents should be doing for their learners at home and not. All those conversations should be had. So we should not reduce PTA to dues.
He also cautioned against the levying of students. Meanwhile, the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Thomas Tanko Musa, is calling for legislation to protect PTA operations.
Once we have restored the PTA, please let us all agree that as it was in the days of old, since the days of Adam, PTA has been there. Parents are the owners of the school. So once we have handed over the schools back to them, that PTA, please come back and let us work together. Please, let no government come tomorrow to come and tell us that they want to change it and all that. Let us all agree the kind of governance we want to put in place to get our children trained.
The president of the National Association of Graduate Teachers in Agrat, Angel Kabonu, is also urging government to put in place stringent regulatory measures to ensure PTAs operate within clear guidelines.
What we should do here is to set the regulations, some rules and regulations for both parents and the schools to follow. It ought not to be an open-ended activity where schools and parents do what they like. An aspect should be how much should a parent be levied in terms of payment of levies and dues. That, I think, should be strictly and seriously regulated.
As the GES prepares to release operational guidelines for PTAs, all eyes are on how these associations will contribute to school development without repeating the challenges of the past.
And still on education, the minister in charge of it, that is Haruna Idrisu, will next week hold a consultative meeting with civil society organizations on the scholarship bill ahead of its passage. The meeting aims to deliberate and gather ideas to enrich the Ghana Scholarship Bill 2025 before it is finalized and passed by Parliament. This follows an urgent call by the Citizens Coalition for Parliament to suspend further deliberations on the bill and allow for broader public consultations. Judith Brown reports.
The Ghana Scholarships Authority Bill has sparked intense debate among civil society organizations. Well, at its core, the bill aims to reform the administration of government scholarships, but concerns have been raised about its potential impact. We'll go into the concerns shortly, but first, what is this bill all about? Well, the Ghana Scholarships Authority Bill aims to establish a new legal framework for the administration of government scholarships. The bill seeks to streamline the award of scholarships, prioritize brilliant but needy students, and focus on critical disciplines like science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, also known as STEM. It also proposes the creation of a database of scholarship beneficiaries and outlines funding sources, including oil revenue and the Ghana Education Trust Fund. Well, as it stands, the bill has been scrutinized by a joint committee in Parliament, which has proposed several amendments to ensure transparency and accountability in scholarship awards. The committee's report is now before Parliament for adoption and passage. Despite these efforts, the Citizens Coalition has raised several concerns. They argue that the bill lacks transparency and accountability, potentially perpetrating existing problems rather than addressing them.
The bill in its current state is not able to solve the problem His Excellency the President seeks to solve. That is our biggest problem. His Excellency is worried about the cronyism, the nepotism, and then also the availability of the existence of so many, an amorphous scholarship system where we have so many agencies having their own scholarship systems. His Excellency wants to consolidate the scholarship environment, but this bill is not consolidated. And so we see the bill to be a first step in providing a legal backing for scholarships and an institutional framework. But then, in terms of addressing the problem that the President wants to cure, we don't see the bill in its current state as being competent in theory.
Meanwhile, the Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu, has agreed to consult stakeholders coming Tuesday, July 22, 2025, a move the coalition has lauded.
Once the bill is in Parliament, if you want to engage, you must engage the Speaker. And so the Education Minister will obviously engage Parliament and then seek an extension to the consideration time so that we are able to have a conversation on Tuesday to inform it. And so we welcome the development. We hope that Parliament will work closely with the Education Minister to agree on this arrangement.
For now, it is yet to be seen whether or not Parliament will heed to the concerns of the coalition. Judith Brown, TV3 News.
Let's now take you to Parliament, where the minority boycotted proceedings on Thursday after what they say is an inconsiderate pressure from the majority leader to have their Kwetia seat declared vacant following the death of the MP Ernest Kumi. This happened after the majority leader made an urgent statement on the death of the MP and sought guidance from the Speaker on when the seat of the late MP will be declared vacant nearly 2 weeks after his passing. Christian Yali reports.
It all began when the majority leader, Mahama Ayariga, stood on one of the orders to indicate that the minority leader, Alexander Afenyomarkin, did not act right in communicating the death of Ernest Kumi to the House on Monday, July 7, 2025, which communication resulted in Mahama Ayariga, receiving a number of questions from some members of the public about when the clerk would write to the Electoral Commission to communicate the vacancy that has occurred as a result of the death of the late Akwetia MP.
When the Constitution says, when the clerk becomes aware, and I have gone with the clerk to the family house, and the family has informed both myself and the clerk, and informed the clerk of the hospital, informed him of the time, and informed him that the doctors there confirmed, and I was sitting there with him. Mr. Speaker, it is up to the clerk to follow up to the hospital and get the certification, because he's been told, so that he can do what constitutionally he is obliged to do.
He then sought the view of the Speaker of Parliament, Aban Bagbin, demanding that he makes a decision or rules on this vacancy issue, whether it is right for the clerk to go ahead to declare the seat vacant or the minority leader erred in his earlier communication. The debate unfolded after the Speaker made his ruling and indicated that the minority leader erred. Aban Bagbin went ahead to state that for anyone to declare the death of an MP or any person at all, there is that need for a clinical evidence.
So there's nothing wrong with you going there to find out whether what you have heard is really true. But that is not sufficient basis for you saying that a vacancy has occurred. There must be further evidence, because those people you met might turn out not to be the family or head of family or linguist under cross-examination. Because in writing to the Electoral Commission, the clerk will have to state categorically that the death occurred on this date, and if possible, the time. And then the Electoral Commission will start calculating from that date. So if we have not yet received in writing that letter, the clerk, by not communicating, has not done anything wrong.